Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. We are going to start our first lesson of online math learning with simplifying radicals. For the time being, like I said in the video before, this is going to be the new way we do lessons. We're going to go through the unit, we're going to go through the lesson. I'm going to give you guys the answers as we go through it so you guys can check it along the way. And you guys will have some work to hand in later, alright? So let's start off. We're going to continue our unit of solving quadratics. If you guys remember, we were factoring to solve quadratics before we left for our little new vacation. So we're going to continue that now with our new agenda. Remember, when you solve quadratics, you got to set equal to 0, and then use a factoring method, GCF, DOPS, trinomial, whatever the question needs. So let's start off now by you guys trying this on your own. Hit the pause button and work on it on your own, and then when you're ready to check your answer, press play for the rest of the lesson. Hopefully by now you guys are able to check it on your own and try it, and you're here to check the answers. Let's go with number 1 first. So for number 1, we have y squared minus 30 equals 7y. Remember, the first thing we got to do is set equal to 0, so we subtract 7y from both sides. Alright, when we do that, we get y squared minus 7y minus 30 equals 0. Now by now you guys should be trying to factor. GCF does not work in this case, so since GCF doesn't work, we have to look at the characteristics of what we have. We have 3 terms, no number in front of y squared. That means that we're going to be using the trinomial method. Alright, so we're going to break this down, double bubble. Split up your y's, drop your first sign, which is negative, and your second sign is positive. Please excuse the awful handwriting. I'm using a laptop and an iPad. It's very difficult. Alright, now to the side here, we're going to list all the factors of 30. So we have 30 and 1, 2 and 15, 3 and 10, and 5 and 6. 2 factors of 30 that combine to 7. I hope you guys see 3 and 10 with your bigger number going first. From here, tea time, set each side equal to 0, and solve. So on the left side, you should be getting y is equal to 10, and on the right side, you should be getting y is equal to negative 3. Alright, and those are your 2 answers for question number 1. Now let's look on to question number 2 over here. We have 27y squared plus 18y. Here's already set equal to 0 for us, which is great. Now we just have to figure out what method to use. We have 2 terms with a plus sign, so we can't use DOPS, so we have to use GCF here. And hopefully you guys saw that that was GCF. Now our GCF is 9y. Hope you guys saw that. Your 1 parenthesis. Remember to divide each side by 9y. Alright, so you should have 3y plus 2 left over. And then we do our tea time. Set each side equal to 0 and solve. On your left side, divide both sides by 9, y equals 0. On your right side, subtract 2, and then divide by 3. So your answers are y equals 0 and y equals negative 2 over 3. Alright, so that's a little recap of what we've done. Now let's move on to the actual lesson itself. So, like we said, today we're going to be learning about simplifying radicals. You guys already know what a radical is. A radical is a square root. You guys have done this before. So now we're going to just go a little more into it. Hopefully you guys remember all your square roots. I'm gonna assume you guys do, because you guys are such great students. In case you don't, though, I'm gonna write down all the squares for you right here. Now, before we continue, remember that all these numbers under the square root sign, under the radical sign, they are called perfect squares. Again, I apologize for my terrible handwriting. Now, when we look at our perfect squares, again, I hope you guys see, square root them all. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and all the way down the line. we told you guys this a few months ago. It's good to remind you guys. Very important for you guys to remember what these perfect squares are. It'll just be quicker and easier for you guys to try them. And don't forget, if you're ever not sure, go to your calculator, type in second x squared, and put the number underneath, and press enter, and it'll give you the answer. If it's not a whole number, it's not a perfect square. Please don't forget that. All right? All right, once you've finished getting these notes written down, let's move on to the next part. So our mini lesson is what happens if we don't have a perfect square? What happens if we have a number like 24 here, where when we put it into the calculator, it gives us a long, long decimal. Well, if that happens, we have to simplify it, all right? Simplify means that we'll be breaking down the radical. Oh, I'm sorry, I crossed out simplify on the screen. I apologize for that. So we're going to simplify it. So that means that we're going to break it down. So we have to remember our list of perfect squares, which we just had right here. All right? So let's look at a problem. Sorry, let's go back to 24. So in order to break it down, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be listing all our factors of 24. So right here, all right, we have 1 and 24, 2 and 12, 3 and 4, and 6 and 8. I'm sorry, I was doing the last few incorrectly. I got distracted. I apologize for that. Let me fix those for you. I meant 3 and 8 and 4 and 6. I apologize for that mistake. All right, so from here, what we want to figure out is how many of our factors are perfect squares. All right, and then once we figure out how many are perfect squares, we want to circle our biggest perfect square. In this case, we're lucky and we only have one perfect square, and that perfect square is 4. So what we would do is we would have the square root of 24, and then do a little tree, and break it down to the square root of 4, and the square root of 6. And then here, you take the square root of the number that you can. So one number you can square root, one number you can't. The number you can square root, please do. So the square root of 4 is 2. 6 stays the same because we can't square root 6. So our final answer is 2 square root 6. And that's how you do these, all right? So let's try another one together. Let's see what we got here. So here we have simplifying the square root of 12. All right? So let's simplify the square root of 12. Once again, we need our factors of 12. So I'm going to go under the box here and write our factors of 12. We have 1 and 12, 2 and 6, 3 and 4. Hopefully, once again, you realize that the only perfect squares are 3 and 4. So we're going to do our little tree, 4 and 3. Which one can we square root? Thank you, George. I know you said 4, so we square root 4. We're going to write 2. All right, and then our final answer is going to be 2 square root 3. Oh, we have a question. Thank you, Allison. Allison just asked, how do I know that this is right? Well, does anyone know how this is right? Ah, Kevin. Kevin just answered. That was perfect. Kevin said to check it in your calculator. And guys, that's a perfect answer. Square root 12, see what you get. You get this nice long decimal. And then type in the answer you got, 2 square root 3, and press enter. It should be the identical decimal. All right, so as long as it's identical decimal, that means that you got this correct. All right, so let's look at another one now. So now we got 2 more here, square root of 45, square root of 96. So right now you should be pressing pause to check this. But before you do that, all right, make sure you remember how to get the factors. So if you don't remember how to get factors of a number, please go to y equals, type in the number, divide it by x, and press second graph. And then you have this whole big screen that pops up with all the factors. Remember, only whole numbers, all right? So if I'm going off what I see here, factors of 45, are going to be 1 and 45, 3 and 15, sorry about that, give me 1 second, 3 and 15, 5 and 9, and that is it. All right, so the only pairs with a big perfect square are 9 and 5. Break that down, and then square root the one you can. All right, so why don't you guys hit the pause button and try 96 on your own right now. All right, hopefully you guys are able to figure that out. Now, really quick, I'm going to put the factors of 96. All right, so factors of 96 are going to be 1 and 96. We have 2 and 48, 3 and 32, 4 and 24, 6 and 16, and 8 and 12. So here we have a lot of factors actually that have common squares. We have more than one. We have to pick the factor with the biggest perfect square, and that's going to be 6 and 16. All right, so make your little tree. Square root of 16, square root of 6, square root of 16 is 4, and you leave 6 alone since it cannot be square rooted. All right, so that is how you guys simplify radicals. That's how you make sure that if you have radicals with more than one perfect square, you always pick the biggest perfect square. Now, oh, hold on, we have another question. Thank you so much, Joanna. That's a great question. What happens if we pick a perfect square that isn't the largest? Well, let's take a look at that real quick, all right? So I'm going to erase this. And we're going to pretend that I didn't choose 16 and 6. We're going to pretend that I chose 4 and 24. Okay? So now if I chose 4 and 24, same thing. I break it down, square root of 4 is 2. And then I notice that number 24 is pretty big, and I could probably break that down further. So if that does happen, break this down further to 4 and 6. Hopefully you realize the square root of 4 is 2. And then just multiply these two together, and you'll get 2 times 2, which is 4 radical 6, which is what we had before. All right? So if there's any questions there, please message me. Please leave a comment, and I'll be happy to answer that. So now we're going to try these two on your own. Please try these two on your own. Hit the pause button if you haven't already. And once you get back, we will do these together. Alright, so welcome back. Hopefully you have these kind of figured out by now. So let's go with 175 first. So the factors are 1 and 175. We have 5 and 35. And we have 7 and 25. Well, there's only one pair of perfect squares I see, and that's 7 and 25. Square root 25, square root 7. The only one you can square root is 25. So your answer here is 5 square root 7. All right. And for the left side, we have 98. So same thing, 98. Oh, that's too many. 98 divided by x. Second graph. Our factors of 98. Let's list them together. 1 and 98. 2 and 49. Oh, I think I found my answer already. 7 and 14. Is that it? Any more? Just want to make sure I'm not missing any. And that's it. Alright, so I think I found my answer already. 2 and 49. Hopefully you guys see that. Square root of 49, square root of 2. Square root of 49 is 7. And the 2 we leave alone. Alright, so with that, here is your group work. Please make sure you guys fill out all these and send me a picture of the completed work so I can give you credit for classwork. Otherwise, have a great day. Hopefully I'll see you guys soon. Hopefully you guys are doing real well during this. And I miss you guys, and we'll talk soon. All right? Bye-bye.